Vedamscha prahinoti tasmai tamhadevam atmabuddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. We are discussing the Karmakanda portion of Vedanta. In the second section of Mundaka Upanishad, now the subject matter is taken up, a brief discussion of the karma portion of Vedas. The Vedas are almost 99% karmakand, meaning a ritualistic portion, and those rituals are primarily to fulfill all the desires that each one of us are born with, but fulfilling the desires on the righteous path. Many of us, if we do not have the guidance of these Vedas, we fulfill our desires on paths which are not proper, and they in turn are responsible for creating many more such desires which will take us away from the very purpose for which this human birth has been gifted. So nothing wrong with desires as long as we learn to purge them on the righteous path. Once the desires are silenced up to an extent, then the maturity of the student itself will move that student away from the egocentric desires to desire which prompts that person into karma for selfless purpose. Those actions will be offered to Bhagavan for the sake of a sheer privilege to have human birth, to worship God. To worship, even if it is not God, it could be the worship of the five elements, the great phenomenal forces, which in turn keeps this person's life grounded with a proper vision in living, and an extreme amount of gratitude is born, and the person moves from the karma section to upasana section, where the person can just simply sit with absolute amazement and wonder of this created world and having this privilege to worship. Once the person engages in these upasanas for a length of time, he or she acquires a great amount of the purity of mind and the intellect. The mind becomes silenced. It doesn't want to roam about in the world of objective reality. And the intellect becomes extremely sharp in terms of picking up what it is supposed to pick up and dropping what it is supposed to drop. And the intellect also becomes extremely subtle. It picks up on the subtlemost nature of the self, and that is seen in a transformed behavior of the individual, where they become extremely keen observers of the platform of life around. Nothing will escape their eyes, their ears. They are extremely attentive and alert. They are not dead while living. This person engages very beautifully and learns what he or she is supposed to learn and leaves the rest. So all these actions which contribute to such a living is the portion of Vedas. It necessarily a person has to go through these proper rituals. These are training grounds to deliver a personality suited for higher study and contemplation of Absolute. That is why we have this Karma Kand. And we started out by the introduction. He says, Tatra aparavidya vishaya kartradi sadhana kriya phala bheda rupa. That this lower knowledge, what is lower knowledge? Karma Kand, engaging in action. This engaging in action, there is kartru adi, there is a doer, there is a doer that acts upon an object. So there is an object upon which the person acts. There is an instrument with which he acts upon the object. So the doer is there, the karana, the instrument is there, the karma is there, and the object upon which the action is unleashed. So all the vibhaktis of a noun are very much present, and it creates phala bheda rupa samsar. Of course, if an action is done, there is a counter action which is unleashed from this platform of action itself, and that is called karma phala. And the fruit is dependent upon many factors, not just the action. How is the person engaging in the action? What is the attitude of that person? What is the time in which they have decided to engage in the action? What is the quality of the equipment in the process of doing that action? Yes, they woke up and they did meditation, but the equipment did not go through taking a bath, cleaning the mouth, putting on fresh clothes. These are all prerequisites of meditation. People say, I want to wake up and meditate. Wake up and meditation is not just meditation. As long as we are engaging in karma, the karma has to have its process. Yes, you will get fruit for meditation, but it will be devoid of the quality of fruit that somebody wakes up, they take proper bath, they anoint themselves, they clean themselves, the room is clean, the altar is clean, the place where they sit down is clean. Then they sit down in a proper procedure of sitting down, invoke the deity of the asana upon which they are seated. When all this knowledge is there, that meditation yields a different result than a person who just springs forth from the bed, sits over there with foul odor in the mouth, and the body sits for meditation. These are the procedures required in karma, and because of that, there is karma phala bheda rupa. A simple thing like meditation requires a process, and what to think about so many actions done in this world, and this creates samsara anadi ananta dukkha swarupatvat. We have created this samsara, which is a cause of sorrow, because blindly we have jumped into action without understanding the know-hows of action, and because of that, the world is full of all types of calamities. Over here it says, Ananta Dukkha Swarupatvat, infinite are the forms of our sorrows. Dhatavya pratyekam shariribihi samastena nadi srotavat अव्यवच्छेद रूप संबंधः तत् उपशम लक्षणः मोक्षः परविद्या विषयः अनादि अनंत अजरः अमृतः अमरः अभयः शुद्ध प्रसन्न स्वात्म प्रतिष्ठा लक्षण परमानंद अद्वय इति. So the whole karma kand we will go through a proper invocation of action, and when the proper invocation of action yields a better prarabdha on the outside and a divine prarabdha on the inside as the equipment which is mature for the apprehension of over here Paravidya, and Paravidya Vishaya. What is the subject matter of the Paravidya? The subject matter of the absolute knowledge is Brahman alone. But then what is this Brahman? Brahman is Anadi, beginningless, Ananta, endless, Ajaraha, it doesn't decay, Amaraha, it doesn't die, Amrutaha, it is immortal, Abhayaha, it is the absolute state of fearlessness, Shuddhaha, it is immaculately pure, Prasannaha, it is ever content, Svatma Pratishtha Lakshana. Now he doesn't realize this Brahman as sitting somewhere out there in the seventh heaven, but it is me, Sva Atma Pratishtha. I am that Brahman. That Brahman is not something else. Paramananda. It is of the nature of the absolute bliss. Advaya, non-dual. This is the goal to be reached. So all these actions are done for the sake of this Brahman. Purvam tavat aparavidya vishaya pradarsanartham arabhyah. Because of the goal being this lofty, laudable goal of realizing this Brahman, now we start the mechanics of how to reach it, and that is karma kand. Tat darshanehi tan nirveda upapattehe, and the whole purpose of karma kand is to make sure we acquire dispassion in action itself. Brahman, which is to be realized, it cannot be realized by doing some action. It is not like picking up the pen and owning it. It is not acquiring something in the state of meditation that now, oh, Brahman has now arrived. No action can procure Brahman. It is not to be acquired. Brahman is already here. I already am Brahman. It is aprapta vastu. You cannot gain it because prapta eva, you have already gained it. You simply have to know it. So I have to realize, I have to know I am Brahman. So all the doing is to acquire dispassion from doing. That doesn't mean I can throw it off. I can throw off all actions, just like what we are seeing in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna wants to just drop this war and go away to Rishikesh. That is not how it will be acquired. It has to be acquired by becoming a person worthy of knowing. So that is why Tad Darshane, the darshanam of karma, the knowledge of action, the action which is done, the nirvedopapatte, it is for developing dispassion. But if we keep on doing it without participating in it, then action will go on for lives at a time. But we will not develop vairagya or mukti. As a child grows from a pre-K to K to first to second to third to fourth, we see some amount of cognitive changes. There has to be a physical growth, there has to be a cognitive development. And if the cognitive development is not there, as per the understanding of Piaget's understanding of cognitive development, we say something is wrong with this child. It is not grasping the colors, the shapes. If we still have to work with the colors and the shape in 5th grade, something has gone wrong. Because colors and shapes are the subject matter of pre-K and K. By 5th grade, they should be able to understand language, math, science, simple concepts. So the development has to be there. In the same way, the rituals have to yield a type of maturity, and the maturity of a spiritual student is called vairagya. That is the absolute cognitive development of a spiritual aspirant. How much dispassion have we developed living in this world? If on our deathbed we are still worried about my child, my home, my bank balance, then we have not grown. Here is this Bhishma Mahapita, deathbed is bed of arrows. He could care less about what is the future of Hastinapur. He is only remembering Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat. His understanding is, my Lord who is standing over here, if I have to live for 1 minute, 5 names. If I have to live for 20 minutes, 1,000 names I will chant. But I am not going to remember consciously. I am not going to think about what is going to happen to Hastinapur. Time is over. While in the war, he fought well. But there comes a point in time we have to move out. We have to move out. We have to vacate many apartments we had housed in. A body is just an apartment. The indweller has to grow. So that is what it is said. And tad vakshyati pariksha lokan karmachitan ityadinam nahi apradarshena pariksha upapadyate iti tad pradarshanyan na aha. So without showing the systematic evolution of the karma, we cannot grow in life. The only way we can grow is examine, take a stock of life. Just like a lion, the king of a jungle, even though he walks in the jungle, after some time he stands and then he looks around how far he has come, where he has to go, who is where, and what do I need to do. Simha Avalochanam it is called. Just like a lion examines, in the same way we have to examine life. So without engaging in karma properly, what are we going to examine? Thus starts this section. Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayoho kavayah Yanyapashyanstani Tretayam Bahuda Santatani Tani Acharat Niyatam Satyakamaha Eshavav Pantha Sukrutasya Loke. So over here, now begins the subject matter of the Apara Vidya, chapter 1, section 2, first mantra we are seeing. It starts with Tadetat Satyam. What is Satyam? This alone is true. What is truth? What is declared in the Vedas is true. That is what is implied over here. What is declared in the Vedas is true. The truth is the declarations of Vedas. And I will come back to it to get a better understanding of what is declared to be true. And Tadetat Satyam. What is that Satyam? Mantreshu karmani kavayah yani apashyanstani. So kavayah, the Krantadarshi, the ones who saw these Vedas. The authors of the Vedas are great rishis. There is no copyright. Nobody said that, oh, this portion I have composed, this portion I have composed. Ved Vyas Maharshi Ji compiled it. But many rishis have gone into contributing to these Vedas, and these rishis who saw the content of the Vedas, which is majority of it karma kand, and they captured the process of action in mantreshu, in the mantras. The procedure to engage into a karma has to be revealed, has to be told, and the entire procedure was written down. Kavayah yani mantreshu karmani apashyan. They saw. So these Vedas are not, these karma kand are not just a figment of imagination of someone. They saw it. And as they saw the karma phala, the karma karta, the time and the place in which the karma was done, and depending upon the purity of the person doing, the karmas gave different results. All this, the great rishis, they actually saw it. There is we tell the story about, Bhagavan Vishnu having a mark of a footstep on his chest. That how did he get that? And there was this rishi who went to Vaikuntha Loka, where Narayan Bhagwan was lying on this Ananta Shesha Shai. And he wouldn't wake up. So the arrogance of the Rishi, he kicked him with his foot on the chest. That what is he doing? And Bhagwan slightly opened his eyes, looked towards him, closed it, and Bhagwan showed him what he is doing in that Yoga Nidra. And Bhrigu Maharshi Ji was able to see the entire universe come out and different positioning of different stars producing different cosmic effect. And he even saw that the same positioning of the stars, once it creates this effect, but in the other place it creates different effect. And he realized that one was a Satyuga and the other one was a Kali Yuga, because he saw all Brahmans going through different things, and he realized what Mahavishnu is doing. He is just presiding over the whole universe. And when he saw the entire creative cycle of each Brahman, today we have something known as Bhrigu Samhita, which is the basis of the study of astrology. It proves over there the efficacy of how karma is done by different Jiva Rashis in different time and in different place. So like Bhrigu Maharshi Ji, there were great rishis like Vasishtadi who have the insight of it. The king is Dasharatha, but he has no power because he is guided by Vasishtha Muni, and whatever Vasishtha Muni says, that will be done, because he is the actual Jnani who presides over Ayodhya. Where Ayodhya, where there is no war. If we do not want any war, we have to be a learned person to understand how to engage in action. They had Vidura sitting over there, learned person, but who listened to Vidurji? He was labeled Dasiputra and just kicked out. So where this Kavaya, Krant, Darshi, these people who have seen the karma, the gati of karma, the phala of karma, they apashyan, they saw it. And this is what the Vedas are. Tani tretayam bahuda santatani. And these mantras, tretayam, some people think it is the Treta Yuga. No, it is not the Treta Yuga. What is meant over here? The three Vedas, Rig, Yaju and Sam. Atharvana was not there, it was a later addition. That these three Vedas have all these mantras, Bahuda Santatani, in very many ways, so many karmas are talked about, and all that is Tad Etat Satyam. This is true. So Kavayaha Yani Mantreshu Karmani Apashyan Tadetat Satyam. What they saw as mantras, what they saw as a prescription for doing an action, that is the truth. And that truth, Tani Tretayam Bahuda Santatani. And those are the subject matter of these three Vedas. Tani Satyakamaha. All these all these mantras, all these actions, Satyakamaha, those who are the desirous of a particular result in life, those people niyatam acharatha, they should engage in the karmas enjoined by the Vedas, niyatam, in the proper methodology as mentioned over there. In that way, niyatam, always without rejecting any portion, accept it as satyam and engage on it, acharatha, sukrutasya loke vaha esha panthaha. This alone is the path for sukrutasya loke. Loke, for the higher worlds, for the higher experience. If one has a desire for higher experience, if one has that particular desire, this alone is the path. Which path? The path of karmakand, that follow these rituals, and these rituals will take you to sukrutasya loke, these lokas which are proper, these lokas where the experience is much better than the sorrow-riddled experience of the bhuloka. So initially, a person comes into this world and says, I want to get married. I want to have a child. I want to have material gains because now this family is growing and I require that to maintain it. So they use the Vedas for proper karma of marriage, use the Vedas for creation of proper progeny, not just a carnal pleasure which results in Varna Shankar Praja. Proper thought process has to be there to create the progeny. That is called Putra Kameshti Yajna. It is actually considered to be a Yajna. So then acquisition of wealth, that also has to be through the proper path, not that Atlantic City and Vegas easy path to life. No, actually contribute to the world and in process take what is required, move on. And then after the security of education, everything is met, the person moves on. So the quality and the type of karma changes as we move on in life, and it should change. If it doesn't change, if we ever remain a beggar doing Navagraha Homa just so that I acquire wealth that may the planets realign themselves so that I get this, that is not called growth. There is a point in time when Ganapati Homa, Navagraha Homa, all those things, they contribute. But there comes a point in time when I mentally just salute the 9 planets, seek their blessings and enter spirituality. At that time, no Shani creates any obstacle. This is proper thought process in evolution, and this is called Etat Satyam. There is efficacy. When we go to work, I mentioned last class, 9 hours, 8 hours you put, you will be paid for 8 hours, 9 hours. if they pay you for 5 hours, next day when you have to wake up and go over there, you will question, you will start looking for something else. In the same way, when a karma is done, when we invoke Ganeshji in the Homakunda, when we invoke the 9 planets in the Homakunda and Ahuti is put, the Karta, the Karana, the Karak, the Karma, everything aligned properly, that Homam has to give results. That is called Etat Satyam. It does. If we complain, मैंने तो इतना सारा कुछ किया, कुछ मिला नहीं, well, something was wrong. If we do all these things and nothing happens, somewhere something went wrong. Karma on Bhuloka is the absolute truth. That is what is said, Etat Satyam. You jump off the 10th floor of a building, that no, gravity is a very good friend of mine, will not act on me. It doesn't work. You may be a great physicist and have love of gravity and have learned everything about it. It's going to act upon you. It doesn't work that way. So, there is an efficacy of karma. And that efficacy of karma, the 99% of the Vedas don't discard it. Over here it is said, Etat Satyam. It is truth. This is very important, and thus it is said that Esha Vaha Yushmakam, for all of us, Pantha Sukrutasya Loke, this becomes the path for us to reach the higher world. Once this world has been taken care of, in the example that I gave, the marriage, the child, the wealth, the taking care of it, this is Ihaloka. But then if that person is little bit thinking that in doing all this, 20s are gone, 30s are gone, 40s are gone, 50s have arrived, and we don't know how long we are going to be here. Now the quality of karma has to change if they want to evolve. And the person thinks, I want to go to the higher world. So to go to the higher world, at the age of 50 you do another Putra Kameshti Yajna, forget it. That is not the age for getting married and creating more kids in 50s and 60s. Madness. Time is gone. So when it is said that Sukrutasya Loke, to go to the higher worlds, we have to evolve. We have to evolve. But if we don't see the evolution, better luck next life. What else? But our life should be lived in such a way that we move on. And the moving on is security in the higher worlds. That let me go to a better loka than this. And if I have to go to a better loka than this, naturally I'm going to have to work for it. People want to leave India and come over here. Minimum you get some education. In 70s and 80s and all those things, people got educated, applied to universities, came over here, got masters, got doctorate. Then they qualified themselves to stay in a loka which can bless them materially. It was a material change of loka is what people were desiring. Now as we grow spiritually, we require a spiritual loka which will allow us to grow. So you got education, you applied to university, you filed for visa. You think all that karma is not required to go to some punya krita and loka? Certain amount of tapascharya, upasana, karma, a rearrangement of life, sacrifice of time, effort, all that is required. Mahata punya pathyena, with the spending of the currency of punya, you get the human body. Then as a human body, we have to do special actions. And those are the subject matter of the karma kand. And do not discard it, do it properly is the advice of the over here. Tretayam Trai Sanyoga Lakshanayam Hautra Advaryu Audgata Prakarayanam Adhikaranam Bhutayam Bahuda. So the only thing I want to read about this is the Tretayam. The Tretayam Shankaracharya ji defines as the three lakshanas of the three Vedas. Hautra Advaryu, the priest who presides over the mantras of Rig Veda, is known as Hautra. The priest who presides over the mantras of Yajur Veda is known as Advaryu. And the priest who presides over the Vedas of Sam Veda is known as Audgatra. And the quality of this priest who is chanting on behalf of the Yajman also determines the fruit. If that priest is chanting looking at the wallet of the Yajman, already the karma is gone. And we complain that why are the karmas not giving fruit? In the 6th, 7th mantra, it will come that 18 are the different portions required to do a homam. 4 priests from Rigved, 4 priests from Yajurved, 4 priests from Samved, and 4 priests from Atharvaved. Over here Shankaracharya has not mentioned that because it came later, and the priests from the Atharvaved are known as Brahma. Brahmaji presides over the Atharvaved. And out of the 4, 1 is Sakshi, and the other 3 are the chanters. And he makes sure who does what. And of all these 16 priests, 4, 4, 4 from each one of the Vedas, the main Mukhya person who presides over this is Brahmaji. He is the Shushti Karta. He is the authority on karma. And you may have seen Panditji in different corners, he will ask different devatas to come and sit, and one of the east corner he will invoke Brahma, and in the betel nut is Brahmaji is this day invoked. In olden days actually the priest would sit, and then the 2 are the Yajman and his wife, because without wife karma cannot be done. So all these things are there, and when the karma is done, karma must give result. Moving on, next mantra. Yada lelayate hyarchihi
Yada lelayate hirchihi
samidde havyavahane
samidde havyavahane
tada ajya bhago antarena
tada ajya bhaga antarena
ahuti प्रतिपादयेत
ahuti pratipadayet
श्रद्धया हुतम
shraddhaya hutam.
So now, what is this karma? We saw that the karma is born out of great rishis. Their mind, they are not the authors of the Veda, they are the one apashyan. They have seen, it was revealed to them. Otherwise, who would know all these semantics and great details about doing action? We have something, little fulfillment of little desires to fulfillment of the greatest desire of the highest world, the Ashwamedha Yajna, to become Indra of heavens. 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. Even today, one Swamiji in India, for the sake of the welfare of the Bharat Varsh, Ashwamedha Yajna was done. Nowadays, we don't even have the ingredients required to do Ashwamedha Yajna. But anyway, so from little thing all the way up to such a huge ritual which takes days and months to do, all those things are there. Now, all that is Satyam. Now somebody has to use it. So, it is the individual who uses these mantras, these rituals to invoke the blessing. And the blessing is none other than karma phala. So, yada, when samidde in the fuel, that wood which is placed in the homagunda, in that samidde, yada samidde havyavahane, and that fire is not ordinary fire, it is a sacred fire. Through Arani it is invoked and transferred, not with a lighter fluid or anything, but with camphor, properly invoked. This is not ordinary fire, it is havyavahane. It becomes a vahana, a vehicle for transferring our desires to the higher world. That is why the sacred fire is called havyavahana. It becomes a vahana. It literally becomes a carrier of our desires. And whatever ahuti we put, idam Indra, idam namama, we said this is for you Indra, it is not for me. And the fire takes that message, delivers to Indra. Who has seen Indra over here? But fire is the divine carrier. Idam Ganapati, idam namama, then takes to Ganapati Bhagavan. So that yada samidde havyavahane lelayate hi archihi. Lelayate, these flames which are rising up, dancing and rising up from the fuel, hi archihi, and these well-kindled flames which are moving up, tada, at that time, not that, see, yada, when in the fuel which is the one which carries this great fire, a fire which is a carrier of the divine messages, only when that fire is well kindled, in the center of that, tada ajya bhago antarena, in the very center of these kindled flames, ahutihi, the ahuti that we put, whatever, and for every homam, the ahuti is different, not that one standard box brought from Gandhi Bazaar and becomes that same fuel for all devata. This is not how homam is done. For each devata, the ahuti is for that particular devata. A Ganpati homam, he requires, laddu and so many other things. For Rudra Bhagwan, the ahuti is also ugra. And when it is done a Chandi homam for her, you have to give her what she wants. And after doing this great job of Mahishasura Mardini, you think she will want this little tair sadam or some little piece of coconut? It has to be in proportion to what the deity is. And that is why tada ajya bhago antarena ahutihi pratipadayet. May you release that ahuti for that particular devata. And how the most important thing in the bracket down there is Shraddhaya Ahutaya. You are talking to somebody on the phone and doing swaha swaha, forget it. You will get no result for that. Thus, the priest has to be proper, the yajman has to be proper, the ingredients have to be proper, the fuel has to be proper. Only then the karma will give result. That is why you may have seen people think, Satish becomes arrogant when he is doing puja. It's not arrogant. He doesn't want to talk once he has started the homa. And that understanding has to be there. Otherwise, if you take the phone call and you talk to this person, aap kaise hai, aaiye, baithiye, ye, wo, and then you just continue. This is not how it is done. So, everything has to be set up. Once the sankalpa is done, then from start to finish, Shraddhaya Ahutam. These are the injunctions of the Shastra. Then this particular karma becomes effective. Yasya, we'll continue, mantra number 3. Yasya Agnihotram
Yasya Agnihotram
Adarsham Apaurnamasam Achaturmasyam Anagrayanam Atithi Varjitam Cha Ahutam Avaishvadevam Avidinahutam Asaptamam Tasya Lokan Hinasti. So, for a karma, if that karma is not done properly, the results that this karma can give can be grave. Better we not do that karma then. This is what Vedas are saying. Because these mantras seen by the rishis are not to be played with. Kunti ji just played with a mantra and boom, Surya Bhagavan gives, you have to have a child. Arey, I don't want one. Too bad, have one. Then what happens? Our life is ruined. that poor child's life, somebody else has to suffer for us, you know. Poor Karna's life, if we think about it, known as Radheya, but actually is a Kaunteya. Why? She played with her mantra. You see that? This is not ordinary. These great mantras which are the products of Rishi's Tapascharya, because the Rishi's Tapascharya has revealed these mantras, and we just have fun with these in front of a fire any way we want, drinking Coca-Cola on one side and chanting. What will happen? It is a mockery of the Tapascharya of Rishi. You think that Rishi is going to leave us alone? Heaven forbid if it be Durvasa, what would happen? A mantra darshra, if it is Durvasa Rishi, which by the way he is author of a lot of these, we may not know, but if we insult, we've had it. Asapta lokans tasya hinasti. Last line says, all complete 7 generations will be destroyed if we insult a Guru mantra, Guru Adesh, Guru Upadesh, Shastra. This much regard, better we not do it then, you know. Just go for a movie. Use that time wisely. But if we've decided to engage in them, do justice and do your very best. And Bhagavan sees that availability. How much are we available? Not your ability, your pocket strength. You may ask somebody else to do it and flaunt and give all this money, what all things you can do. He doesn't look at that. Many a people go to Tirupati and give so much. He has so much, you think your little 20 carats is going to make a difference in his bank? But how are we approaching Bhagavan? That efficacy of karma we have to learn, and that is what is talked about over here. We will see this next week. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaः sarve